Hey there! Ever wondered what really separates a good O-level social studies answer from a truly great one? Well, you've come to the right place. Today, we're going to unlock the strategy for absolutely acing questions on globalization, so you can walk into that exam feeling totally on top of your game. We're going to be zeroing in on the Chij Katong Convent Prelim 2025 paper, specifically questions 6 and 7. Think of this as your visual playbook. We're going to use these slides to help you see, understand, and most importantly, memorize the structure and keywords that really rake in this top marks. So you ready? Let's dive in. First up, we're throwing down what I like to call the globalization gauntlet. This is where we face the two core challenges, the high-value questions that we are going to conquer today. And here they are, the two big challenges. On the left, we've got Singapore's economic survival. How does a small nation that's so reliant on global trade protect itself from shocks from the outside world? And then on the right, you've got this cultural battlefield. How do we embrace all these cool global trends without losing what makes us unique? We're going to tackle both head on. Okay, so before we get into the questions themselves, I want to give you a secret weapon, and I mean it. This is probably the single most important tool you can have for building a top-band answer in social studies. And here it is, the visual peel system. It's a super simple but incredibly powerful 4-step method. You start with your point, that's your core argument. Then you back it up with evidence, a real solid concrete example. Then comes the magic part, the explanation. This is where you connect the dots, spelling out how and why your evidence proves your point. Honestly, this is where the top marks are won or lost. Finally, you link it all back to the question. And hey, pro tip, keep a close eye on any highlighted text you see on these slides. Those are the keywords you absolutely have to memorize. I'm not kidding, the peel system is the master key. It's what's going to take your answer from, yeah, that's pretty good, to, wow, that's amazing. But enough talk, right? Let's actually see how it works. All right, our first deep dive is all about surviving economic shocks. We're going to break down question 6, which is all about the strategies Singaporean companies can use to handle the economic challenges that come with globalization. This slide really sets the stage perfectly. As our Foreign Minister Vivian Balakrishnan pointed out, Singapore's deep reliance on global trade makes us incredibly vulnerable. If that system were to collapse, it would be a massive, massive blow. So the mission for companies here is crystal clear. You have to build resilience against these shocks. So what's strategy number 1? It's all about adapting externally through market diversification. Let's peel this, shall we? The point is that companies can diversify their business operations. The evidence? Think about a local brand like Old Cheng expanding overseas to Malaysia, Indonesia, even all the way to the UK. The explanation is key. This reduces their dependence on our small local market. So if one country has a downturn, no big deal. The company can rely on revenue from other countries to sustain their earnings. And the link? Well, diversification acts as a buffer against those scary global shocks. See? Simple and so powerful. Okay, let's lock in these keywords for diversification. You want to be using these exact phrases. Talk about how they diversify business operations. Explain that this lets them rely on revenue from other countries, which in turn helps them sustain earnings. And the big picture? This whole thing acts as a buffer against global shocks. Using this specific vocabulary, that tells the examiner you really get it. Strategy 2 flips the script and looks inward. It's all about internal adaptation through upskilling your workers. So the point is simple. Invest in your people, especially in things like digitalization. For evidence, you can point to government help, like the Skills Future Enterprise Credit. Now, the explanation is that this isn't just training for training's sake. It actually boosts productivity and helps the business stay agile and relevant against tough foreign competition. And the link back? This kind of upskilling literally future-proofs the company, cementing its global competitiveness. Okay, let's drill down on the key words for upskilling. You want to talk about the upskilling of workers as a direct strategy. And why? The goal is to stay agile and relevant in this fast-changing world. This strategy effectively future-proofs the business, which is how it maintains its global competitiveness. These aren't just buzzwords, people. These are the high-yield phrases you need to be using. And this, right here, this illustrates the full picture brilliantly. The corporate resilience matrix. See how it works? You've got external resilience from diversification, protecting you from things like geopolitical drama. And then you've got internal resilience from upskilling, which protects you from technological disruption. The top band insight is right there. Surviving economic globalization needs a one-two punch, a dual approach.
All right, let's switch gears. We're moving away from the economic and into the cultural. Section 4 is all about mastering question 7, which asks whether the negative cultural impact of globalization is actually more significant than the positive one. It's a tricky one.
This slide frames that central debate perfectly. On one hand, you have the positive stuff. Global exchange, like Singapore's culinary diplomacy, selling kaya toast in South Korea. Awesome, right? But on the other hand, you have the negative, the dilution of local culture, with more and more people speaking English at home and the use of mother tongues dropping off. So, which one carries more weight? That's the question. So, let's peel the positive argument. The point? Globalization causes the rapid spread of popular culture. Your evidence is everywhere. The global takeover of American media, and of course the Korean wave, K-pop, K-dramas, you know the drill. The explanation? These cultural exports enrich our lifestyle choices, and they allow people all over the world to relate to each other through shared media. And the link? Well, this helps to create a kind of shared global identity. So for the positive impact, you'll want to talk about the rapid spread of popular culture. The result of this? It's enriched lifestyle choices for all of us. On a deeper level, it helps people from different backgrounds relate to one another, which can build towards a shared global identity. You have to make sure you weave these concepts right into your answer. Now for the other side of the coin, the negative impact. The point? Globalization can lead to the dilution of local cultures and traditions. Evidence. Younger generations in Singapore are increasingly speaking English at home instead of their mother tongue. And the explanation here is, well, it's pretty powerful. Global trends are seen as modern and cool, while local customs can start to feel outdated or irrelevant. And what does that do? It creates a generational gap. The link? Over time, this causes a severe weakening of cultural identity. To really nail this negative impact, you've got to use this vocabulary. Start with the dilution of local cultures. Explain how this happens when traditions start to feel outdated or irrelevant next to global trends. This often creates a generational gap, and the final, most serious result of all of this is the weakening of cultural identity. So how do we decide which one is more significant? A top-tier answer isn't just going to state an opinion. It's going to use clear criteria to make its case. Let's use two. First, reversibility. Just think about it. Pop culture trends, they come and they go. But once a language or a tradition is lost, it is incredibly difficult, maybe even impossible, to bring it back. Second, core identity. Sure, pop culture is great entertainment, but the dilution of heritage, that threatens the very foundation of a nation's sense of who they are. When you weigh it like that, the verdict becomes pretty clear. The long-term, irreversible threat to national heritage far outweighs the fleeting benefits of consumer culture. All right, we are in the home stretch now. Let's bring everything we've talked about together and really lock in your strategic advantage for the exam. And here it is, our master visual, the globalization impact and strategy map. Just look at how it connects everything. On the top half, you've got your proactive strategies. Economic actions like upskilling can actually lead to positive cultural results, like a shared identity. But then on the bottom half, you see the passive impacts. Global economic forces can lead to negative cultural results, like losing our heritage. The key takeaway is right there at the bottom. Surviving globalization requires both proactive economic strategies and a defensive cultural awareness. And finally, your ultimate takeaway. I call this the high-yield keyword vault. Seriously, think of this as your final cheat sheet. For question 6, you have your economic keywords like buffer against global shocks and global competitiveness. For question 7, you've got your cultural keywords, from shared global identity all the way to the weakening of cultural identity. You need to memorize these phrases. They are the direct signals to your examiner that you have a deep conceptual understanding of this whole topic. So we'll end with this thought, and it's a big one. This is the core tension we've been digging into today. How can a society embrace all the benefits of global connection without losing the very essence of what makes it unique? It's pretty much the central question of our globalized world. And now you have the tools to analyze it perfectly. Good luck.